Hello everybody, this is GamerGar. Welcome back to another Stardew Valley video. For today's video, I bring to you the ultimate guide to fall. This is a continuation series, so if you haven't seen the ultimate guide to spring or summer, I recommend you watch those before watching this video, just so you can tag along with myself and get the most out of your first year. It's the first day of fall and we have enough artifacts now gathered for Gunther to pay us a lovely visit. He will give us the key to the sewers. We can now access Krobus and his lovely wares. But first we have to scythe away all of this wheat and we have to replant this whole farm with pumpkins, which will take the entirety of the day. This was an extremely hard challenge to do on the first of all. We also had to go into a greenhouse here, which is filled up to the top with strawberries, and harvest all of these as quickly as possible. Once everything was harvested, we're making a sprint to Pierre. We are going to purchase approximately 2,500 pumpkins to plant those on the farm. If we can get over 2,000, we'll be okay. Any extra is a bonus for us. So we have 2,000 right there, and we had a little bit of cash left to get an extra 183 pumpkins. So we're going to go straight back to the farm now with this, and it's going to take us the whole day to plant these pumpkins. As you can see, my character is running a little bit faster. This is because I took some speed buffs, because otherwise there was no way I was getting all these seeds planted on day 1 of fall. I needed speed buffs to make this happen. There was a few patches on the farm that had to be hoed, but that didn't take too long, so if I passed them, I quickly hoed them up and watered the spots. The next day, it was time for my new rideable mount. It wasn't a horse, this was a speeder straight out of Star Wars. All mods used are of course in the description of the video. So let's take a quick look at our farm right now. So basically it is a farm filled up to the top with pumpkins. Almost every single tile on this farm, bar a few, are used up by pumpkin seeds. I also have a small patch here with wheat that hasn't fully grown yet, but that should be good to go in the next day or two. So the next thing we're going to do now is go to the community quest board. We have 2 quests to choose from: Gus's famous omelets or a curious substance. Now we're not going to go with the omelets because we don't have chickens, so the curious substance was what we were going to do. We're going to have to slay ghosts until they dropped the ectoplasm for us. It was then off venturing into the secret woods, and we were farming hardwood and picking up collectibles that we saw along the way. We still wanted the hardwood for future use down the road. We are going to need tons of hardwood later on in the video for the items that we're going to make. It was then down into the mines, and I was looking for iron ore specifically, but if I saw the big stone mounds, I'd get those too, just so I can make more staircases for future skull cavern runs. I was also down here to kill ghosts, and I finally got an ectoplasm there, and that was about the 4th ghost that I had to kill for that, so it wasn't too bad. The next day, I then paid the lovely wizard a visit, gave him the ectoplasm, friendship points with him, but more importantly, 2,500 gold in the bag, and he will also give us the recipe to make mini warp obelisks that we can put on our farm. I also went over to Ginger Island. I've got a lovely Ginger Island farm here now, primarily filled up with Starfruit. We will expand upon that farm soon. The frog did inspect my melons. He also inspects my wheat. He gives me a total of 10 golden walnuts. So we are getting a lot closer to Key's secret walnut room. We just need 100 golden walnuts to be gathered in total to access that room. We do get 5 golden walnuts from farming. We also get 5 from combat, mining, and from other bits and bobs around Ginger Island that we'll get into when we delve more into this video. I went for the mailbox upgrade so it would unlock the warp obelisk upgrade the next day. So it was back into the sewers, Statue of Uncertainty. We're going to reset our farming profession here because I wanted to get the artisan profession so I could sell some stuff to get some money. I also got Clint to process not a geode but a golden coconut, and I got a golden walnut from that, so that was 1 less walnut needed to get into Key's secret walnut room. I decided to just power on with the actual community quest line here now and to get the magical ink. So I went into the mutant bugbear here, and it was really nice to come in here with the haymaker weapon because I was getting a lot more fibre per swing off my weapon. But I also needed a dark talisman. Because I now had the dark talisman, I could now get into the witch's hut and get the magical ink that I get later on. I also went for the mutant carp legendary fish today, and it's quite the easy catch compared to other fish in the game. The big difference between the mutant carp and other legendary fish is that this fish can be caught regardless of season. You do of course need the key to get down into the sewers, but once you have access to the sewers, you can go for this fish straight away. And it does sell for quite a decent amount of gold, 2,250 gold. Because we were in fall, I also went for the anglerfish as well, which is just up here past the Georgia Mart, and this is another very easy legendary fish. Now they do get much harder when we go into winter. The glacier fish is a force to be reckoned with, but for now we would take our nice easy victories with those 2 legendary fish that we caught today. Level 5 farming again, we're going to go with tiller, crops were 10% more. But now we are going to take artisan, which will increase the price of the wines and other artisan goods by 40%, which is really good for us. So we're going to visit Robin today. We're going to get her to build a mill because we want something to put all of our hard-earned wheat into to turn it into wheat flour so we can sell that for a huge profit altogether. We're then going to go back into Pierre's. We're going to pay him another visit. We're going to sell him all of the wine there now that just got a huge increase in value. 411,000 gold ready to go for us, but we're not going to stop there. With that money, we're going to visit Sandy here in the desert. We're going to purchase approximately 500 starfruit seeds. This should be enough to fill up all of the farming land on Ginger Island. I'm also going to purchase Deluxe Speed Grow. If I combine that with my later perk of Agriculturist, that's going to be 35% reduction of the starfruit and other crops that we plant, which means I can pump out a lot more starfruit in the first 100 days of this challenge. The Ginger Island farm is a little bit of a mess at the moment, but I'm going to spend the whole of today to upgrade it and make it look much better. I'm going to pickaxe away all of the less valuable crops, for example the blueberries and the other crops that I got from the mixed seeds that aren't really worth it. I'm going to keep the pineapples for now. I might get a quest in the next week or two from Caroline. She might want us to collect pineapples for solar panels, so we'll keep those around just in case. As you can see here now, I've put more sprinklers down on the Ginger Island farm, and it's filled up primarily with starfruit. The next day, we are going to process all of our lovely starfruit wine, and we're going to put more starfruit into the kegs. We're then going to go to the desert, we're going to get some triple shot espressos, spicy eels, and we are going to do a skull cavern run because we need more raw materials, especially iron and copper. So as you can see there now, we got some energy tonics in the chest. Not too bad. If I see crates like this, I would of course destroy them. You never know when you might get another lucky ring. We already have one lucky ring. A second one would be absolutely fabulous. I got 4 quality sprinklers from this chest. I was actually very happy with that because I still needed tons of sprinklers. Here is just a scene of loads of iridium bats attacking me. I don't run away here, I fight them in the hopes that they will drop battery packs. The more battery packs I get, the more iridium sprinklers I can make. That means more space for me to plant more crops and make larger profits. All of the enemies in the Skull Cavern drop really handy items. The crabs here drop crab cakes, serpents drop spicy eels and other goods. The zombies can drop miners' treats. So it's a nice system. So we're going to spend the next day smelting ores into bars, and all these iridium ores can be turned into sprinklers eventually. They can also be sold for lots of money. The tappers are now ready to be harvested again, so that's going to get me approximately 40 oak resins, that's 40 more kegs. I will have to dramatically increase my tapper outputs in the next few days if I'm going to keep up with the thousands and thousands of crops that I have inside of my chests. I've got so much starfruit right now, and soon enough I'm going to have thousands of pumpkins, so we really need to start thinking about tappers, kegs, and more or less production in general. I was thinking about swapping out the strawberries now at this stage with starfruit, but I decided not to because the strawberries are very handy, you know, where you can harvest them just every 4 days, and if you need just a small bit of money to get a tool upgrade or to get a ticket over to Ginger Island, super handy to have that. So I'm going to purchase more pumpkins off Pierre today, but not a whole lot, just enough to fill up a few more patches on the farm, because there was a few extra slots that I could use. Here's one slot here, and I'm using iridium sprinklers kind of over on the left hand side of the farm. I don't have enough battery packs to make more for the right, so for now that's just the way the farm layout is, where it's primarily quality sprinklers, but I have a lot of iridium sprinklers kind of over to the left. So I'm going to fill up all of this area now with even more pumpkins. And I'm going to go back to Sandy with all of the money I have accumulated. I'm going to purchase a full stack of starfruit that's going to make its way over to Ginger Island. So I needed more wood to make more cakes. I took a trip to the quarry here. This is a tree farm that I made in the last video. I'm just going to blow it all away with mega bombs. I could have cut it all down and got the XP there for foraging, but I was going to get level 10 eventually anyway, and I didn't need the perk, you know, all that badly. So just to save myself time and energy, I decided to just blow all the trees away, pick up all the wood, and just axe away the surviving trees. Because each day was a challenge when it comes to time management, especially if I wanted to get the gold clock by day 100. I was going to have to min-max to the best of my ability. So I got loads of wheat flour there now out of the mill, and I can process that later now into bread, which would sell for even more money. So I'm going to upgrade my house, which will give me access to the cooker. That was a mistake, and I'll tell you why now in a few minutes. I went to Clint here, got an iridium axe upgrade off Clint, I then went to the Ginger Island house, which is already fitted with a cooker. So getting the upgrade off Robin was a little bit of a waste. Not to worry though, it just means more space for me, and I suppose I could put kegs into the house and I could even make it bigger if I wanted to in the future. So it was back to exploring the depths of Ginger Island, trying to locate golden walnuts and golden coconuts, which is why I'm shaking all the trees. Even if these trees don't show coconuts on them, there's a small chance that golden coconuts will fall from them if you give them a shake, so it's always worth shaking the trees when you walk past them. So I managed to solve the gem-bird puzzle today. That was 5 more golden walnuts in the bag for me, so we're getting there with the key secret walnut room. I also destroyed a dragon today, hanging out in the lava for a dragon tooth. I needed 5 of those in total to get a banana sapling. And the reason why I want bananas is so I can get more golden walnuts down the road from completing the quest, which you need bananas to complete. You also need bananas to make the warp obelisk that allows you to warp over to Ginger Island, so I don't have to pay Willy money all the time. I was also collecting bone fragments here, so I go to the dig site every couple of days with bombs, and I just blow open all of these bone nodes. They're full up with bone fragments. It's probably one of the best methods in the game to get your hands on tons of bone fragments. I was also looking for artifacts to give to Professor Snail. I fished up a fossilized spine there, so I was very happy with that. Just needed a few more pieces now and I get some handy dandy golden walnuts off Professor Snail. Today was finally the day I got to harvest my lovely sweet gem berries. The regular one sells for 3,000 gold, which is pretty good. The silver star one sells for 3,750, and the gold star sweet gem berries sells for 4,500 gold. You can get iridium star ones, which sell for 6,000, but you need fertilizers for those. I panned up a lucky ring today. That's how you do it, Poxiel. First attempt, no problems at all. That was my second lucky ring, and it was only year 1. I mean, you can't get more luckier than that, but saying that, I am Irish. I was born lucky. So, there you go, folks. 2 lucky rings in 1 playthrough. I also went into the dungeon today feeling super lucky after I got that ring and I got the mermaid boots. Fabulous pair of boots, really nice defense, really nice immunity. I also got more golden walnuts inside the dungeon volcano, so I was getting closer to Key's secret walnut room. The magma caps inside the dungeon volcano are really nice forageables, probably one of the best in the game when it comes to health and energy. I purchased the warp totem for the Ginger Island off the dwarf trader because they're simple to make, you don't need a whole lot of resources, and most of the resources you can easily get on Ginger Island. And the reason why I got that recipe was because sometimes I'll need to warp over here at night or really early in the morning to make the most of the day, and I just couldn't be waiting around for Willy all the time, you know, for him to bring me over in the boat. So here's a combat scene. I'm fighting the Dwarven Construct and 2 Magma Sparkers. Now these Magma Sparkers appear after level 5 in the Dungeon Volcano. They can be lethal, but a good tactic, especially when they charge up and try to rush you, is to defend yourself if you have a sword and you repel them straight back. So I'm headed up to the forge. I'm going to combine my lucky ring with my iridium band, which makes for a nice potent combination right there. I'm also going to enchant a few tools just to see if I can get some good enchants. For the gold pickaxe, I was hoping for either powerful or swift, but I ended up getting efficient, which was my least useful one. And for the watering can, I was hoping for bottomless, so I wouldn't have to fill up with water anymore, but I got efficient for that one as well. So not too lucky when it comes to the enchants there, but I can always re-enchant them and hope for the best. I had enough golden walnuts now assembled to get the warp obelisk back to my farm, and this comes in really handy if I want to do a quick sidestep from the Ginger Island farm back to the regular Stardew Valley farm. I also had to go at the pylon puzzle today just to see if I could get a few more golden walnuts. I made it to the last phase, but I failed it, so I decided to give it a go later on. Picked up an ancient fruit today, put it into the seed maker, but just got back 1 ancient seed, so I wasn't too impressed with that. But that would go over to Ginger Island. The more ancient seeds now over there, the better. It was time for another community quest. I was going to go with prismatic jelly this time, because if I complete that quest, I'll get monster musk off the wizard, and that makes monster eradication golds super easy. After spamming floor 5 and floor 6, I finally got a prismatic slime. It took me almost a whole day for it to show up, but it was worth it. I'm going to give that prismatic jelly to the wizard now today. He's going to give me some money and the recipe for monster musk later on. The greenhouse was filled up to the top with strawberries again, so we're going to harvest all those, give the wizard the prismatic jelly. He's going to give me 5,000 gold and the recipe now the next day. It was back to good old Clint here now. I got my iridium axe off Clint, but we're not finished just yet. I'm going to give Clint my pickaxe. I'm going to finally upgrade it to an iridium pickaxe so I can do more successful skull cavern runs. I'm also going to fill up the bottom section of this desert with trees and eventually set them all up with tappers. This will dramatically increase my oak resin output so I can make a lot more kegs every couple of days, because I was really starting to lag behind in kegs, and at this rate I wasn't going to complete any of the challenge goals that I had set out for myself, so it was time to focus on tappers and wood. Speaking of wood, with my new iridium axe I was able to wipe these trees out in just 3 swings, and that includes the stump. It's always worth getting rid of the stump, especially in cindersap forest, so the trees grow back fully. Next day I made some more tappers. A couple of trees had fully grown up, so I'm going to set them all up with tappers now for oak resins. I also sold some Starfruit wine to Pierre and I had 665,000 gold ready to go. It was then back to the statue of uncertainty to switch up my farming professions again. I also purchased a star drop off Krobus because I had the cash for it, so I said why not, might as well get it now so I don't have to get it later. Went to Ginger Island, got some ancient fruit, put them all into seed makers. So I put 4 in and I got back 9. Not too bad at all. They'll be replanted on Ginger Island. So there was a nice ruby gem bird there, but I already had that puzzle completed. But the handy thing about the gem birds is that regardless of if the puzzle is completed or not, they will always turn up on rainy days. Level 10 foraging, finally, we're going to go with botanist. Every single foraging item I pick up will be of iridium quality. Now today is the 12th of fall and it was a challenging day. It was so hard. The task was to collect all of the pumpkins on the farm today and replant the whole farm with pumpkin seeds. That might seem like an easy task to do when you talk about it, but when you try to do it, and especially on a farm like this that's filled up to the top with pumpkins, it is extremely hard to do it in one day. So I had to use speed buffs. I used a triple shot espresso combined with a spicy eel just for the speed buff so my character would move a lot faster when it comes to harvesting up the crops and then planting the crops back down. So I managed to get 2,500 pumpkins now off Pierre. And this is my character with the 2 speed buffs. As we can see, I was just motoring along here now, trying to get all of these pumpkin seeds planted as quickly as possible. My fingers, to be honest with you, were very sore when this day came to an end. But what's a challenge without a little bit of pain, right? The next day I got my iridium pickaxe off Clint. Now I had a lot of money in my inventory, so I decided to purchase some coal off Clint because I kept running out of coal and I really wanted to mass smelt tons of bars because I had tons of ores accumulated in Skull Cavern runs and I needed to smelt more copper and iron to keep up with the cake production, especially now because a lot more tree farms are coming up and a lot more oak resin is going to be produced every couple of days. So it was back to Ginger Island now. I'm going to put up all these lovely starfruits. Once all of the starfruits have been taken up, we're going to remodel the farm again. I'm going to put down all iridium sprinklers. This time I had the battery packs to do it. Rehold the ground, put down more starfruit seeds, and then any gaps I will fill them up with deluxe speed grow. So all the starfruits grow at the same time. I decided to keep the pineapples because there was just a few there, and swapping them out with the starfruit wouldn't make a huge difference because we're talking about 7 red starfruit in total. So I went into my Ginger Island house. I'm going to fill it up to the top with kegs. Now I don't have enough kegs on me right now to fill it up, but we'll get there eventually. I also got the fossilized skull and a banana sapling out of a golden coconut there thanks to Clint. It was time to donate all of these lovely artifacts to Professor Snail back on Ginger Island. So I gave him the modified bat, which I got inside the dungeon volcano, and I also had all the parts for the animal as well. Once that was done, it was back to the lovely dungeon volcano. I got the rare mushroom floor, and what's hilarious about this floor is that some of these mushrooms are actually enemies in disguise, and it's hilarious when they try to make a movie like this enemy here. They're so cute, but at the same time they can be very lethal, so you gotta watch out. So I combined a phoenix ring with a lucky ring today. The phoenix ring is amazing because it gives you an extra life once per day, so it's a super handy ring to have. I also put 3 rubies into my galaxy sword, increasing its attack power, so killing enemies will be that much more simple. So we're now at the halfway point in fall, and we're doing pretty well actually. So all of the trees in the desert have fully grown. I'm going to put tappers on all those. We're going to look at the quest board here now. Caroline, Island Ingredients, is the one to do, but she wants taro roots, not pineapples. But we have 14 days to get that done, so we're going to accept that quest and we're going to focus on taro tubers to plant those on the farm. But also I have enough golden walnuts assembled to upgrade the beach here. This means people will now visit the beach, including Gus, and Gus will actually sell you a tropical curry recipe, which is one of the rarest recipes to get in the game because Gus is never a guaranteed NPC to show up on the beach. It's total chance. So my advice, if you see Gus hanging out on the Ginger Island beach, just prioritize the tropical curry recipe he has. So more golden walnuts to be had now in this zone. 3 in total. Let us hold up the last one there. The pirates also come there as well occasionally, and you can play a minigame with them to get more golden walnuts. So I needed bone fragments to purchase more taro tubers. Thankfully I had tons of bone fragments from blowing up the dig site all the time. So I purchased 86 taro tubers there, and I had the rest back on the farm from killing enemies inside the volcano dungeon. Also, taro tubers don't need to be watered if they're planted near water. So I just needed one more golden walnut to get access to Key's secret walnut room. What a kicker! Not to worry though, that will be gotten soon enough. It was back to Stardew Valley. Time to process more Starfruit into Starfruit wine and collect all of the lovely Starfruit wine we have in the kegs. It's also time for the Stardew Valley Fair today. I got first place, 1000 star tokens. Collected my items from the Grange display, and then it was gambling time, all on green. I got super lucky, it landed on green each time, and I was very easily able to get up to 4000 star tokens without too much hassle. With 4000, I could buy everything inside the shop, including the lovely star drop. I also got the rare crow, the fedora, the light green rug, and the dried sunflowers. Didn't bother with the hay because it didn't have any animals. But just for all the lovely farming players out there, if you do have animals, the 100 pieces of hay for 500 tokens, it's definitely worth it if you have the tokens to spare. Back into the volcano dungeon, got some more pineapple seeds today, but more importantly, I got a few golden walnuts from killing enemies and whatnot. So we managed to get into Key's secret walnut room. We can now take on Mr. Key's secret walnut room quests, and these quests will award us with key gems, where we can purchase very potent items indeed from these key gems, game changer items. So we have Key's prismatic grange or the Skull Cavern invasion. We're going to go with Skull Cavern invasion simply because we can get radioactive ore in the Skull Cavern along with other goodies that the grange cannot give. Plus 40 key gems just for getting down 100 floors is easy enough to do right now. Before we go down, it was time to stock up on supplies. I'm going to spend some money here on salads. A few hundred should cover it. I'm also going to get the Troubleshot Espresso recipe, but I'm not going to use Troubleshot Espressos on the run. I'm actually going to use ginger ale. And I can make ginger ale because I bought the recipe off the dwarf in the volcano dungeon. And all you need to make it is ginger and sugar, so it's a very simple recipe to make. But ginger ale is amazing. It gives you a luck buff and it can be combined with a food buff. So the next day we are off to the Skull Cavern. Now this is the hardened version of the Skull Cavern. All enemies have been upgraded. They have more health. They hit harder, especially the serpents. You gotta watch out for those. These mummies are not to be snuffed at. They will walk all over you if you let them. Now they do die the same way as regular mummies. They just have a little bit more HP. If you have Crusader on your weapon, the mummies will not regenerate and you do bonus damage against undead enemies. So when you fight the likes of ghosts and mummies with Crusader, you kill them in literally just a few swings. It makes them so trivial. I got the dark cowboy hat in the chest, super happy with that, followed by a hole, which brought me down 6 levels. The next treasure room I got 5 red cabbage seeds. They would have been perfect if this was a completionist run. But because it's a money run, we don't really care too much about red cabbages right now. But I will keep them, and I might use them down the road if I decide to continue on from 100 days. So when it comes to the hardened version of Skull Caverns, we always have to remember our health. It can drop down to 0 very quickly as these enemies are ferocious. I got the red cowboy hat there, so I had the dark cowboy hat, the red and the blue cowboy hat. When I got to floor 163, it was a really nice floor. Look at all those iridium nodes all stacked tightly together with some radioactive ores as well. So it was a very nice cluster of nodes there. Level 10 combat, we're going to go with brute. 15% more damage is definitely a no-brainer. The next day we are going to smelt ores into bars. Each radioactive bar will sell for a whopping 5,000 gold if you have the blacksmith perk. It is such a great way to make money. Oak resins are ready to be collected, so we're going to get all of the oak resins and we're going to turn all of these oak resins into kegs. We have the wood for it, we also have the bars. Now the pumpkins have also come to fruition, but just the first small pumpkin patch, so it's not the end of the world. So I'm going to harvest all these pumpkins, but I'm not going to replace this patch with pumpkins. No, I'm going to make another tree farm and put tappers on those trees because I need more kegs. Speaking of kegs, I made 59 kegs right there. They will go over to Ginger Island because that's where all the starfruit is. Starfruit will sell for much more money than that of the pumpkin. There's also a lot of space over on Ginger Island that you can place processing machines on. The reason why I haven't built a shed yet is because the farm is more or less taken up with crops at the moment. But when winter comes, we might put a few sheds down then just to keep everything compact and tidy. So I'm going to collect all my radioactive ores and my iridium bars inside the mines now. Today, I can sell all those bars if I need quick cash, or I can keep them and make advanced structures. The strawberries have also come to fruition, so I'm going to pick all those up. That's going to be another handy 20,000 gold in the bag. So I decided to continue on with the magical ink quest here now. I had the dark talisman, so I decided to go into the witch's lair, fished up the void mayonnaise, gave that to the henchman here. I really hope if 1.6 comes out that you have more dialogue with that henchman, because he's such a cool NPC. So I picked up the magical ink. It was time to go off to the wizard and gain access to his magical terminal. And the reason why we need the magical terminal is because that is the only way you can create a gold clock in this game, is through the magical terminal. It was time to process more starfruit into starfruit wine on the Ginger Island farm. So we're doing just that. There's also a lot more space inside the house to put down more kegs. And once the house is filled up with kegs, we can start putting kegs outside as well. So all of the starfruit is now ready to be collected on Ginger Island. So we're going to spend a good portion of the day picking up all the starfruit. Then we're going to put down even more starfruit seeds. The taro roots are also ready to be collected. I just needed to pick up 100 and ship those off, and that would complete the quest for Caroline, and she'll give me the recipe for the solar panels. I spent the rest of my money on starfruit seeds. That is another 996. They're almost a full batch, ready to go for Ginger Island. I didn't have enough money to get back to Ginger Island, but I did have really powerful foraging perks, so I just picked up a few forageables, and that would be enough to pay my way over. Back to the mines here now, getting more copper bars. Needed copper and iron to make future kegs, so I had to stack up on those again. I was also doing my almost daily rituals of going to the secret woods and getting hardwood. 5,500 gold for completing island ingredients, and the crafting recipe, solar panel. Best place by far to put these is the desert, because it never rains in the desert, and if you have solar panels on your regular farm, if it rains, they won't charge that day. So if you have solar panels, put them on the desert. Speaking of the desert, we went back. All of the tappers were ready. That's a pile of oak resins right there. All of the kegs inside the tunnel were also ready, so I collected all those. I made more kegs. I'm going to put these down on the regular farm. I'm also going to put them inside the greenhouse because there's space to greenhouse for the kegs. And before we know it, it's on the 23rd of fall, and this is the last batch of pumpkins that we're going to be harvesting now. But we're not going to stop with the farming. Our farming adventure continues, just not with pumpkins. I'm going to get a crop that can grow just within a couple of days. I didn't have time for another batch of pumpkins. The mutated pumpkins were always a sight to see. Because I was using iridium sprinklers over on the left, and because I had so many pumpkins planted, there was always a pretty good chance that I'd get a few mutations. And all you need for a mutation to happen is a 3x3, uninterrupted set of pumpkins. So basically any 3x3 pumpkins together, there's a chance that they can mutate into a giant pumpkin. Now you need an axe to break open the giant mutated crops, but you get back way more than 9, which is really good when it happens. Also, mutated crops will survive regardless of what season it is, so sometimes players leave them on the farm for decorations. I didn't, because I needed money. So I'm going to purchase tons of wheat, and I'm going to plant all the wheat back on the farm. It takes me the rest of the day to do, and I had to take a triple shot espresso and a spicy eel to get the speed buff to plant them all very quickly. But this is going to make me a lot of money, because I can turn all this into wheat flour, I can turn that into bread, and I can sell it then for huge profits. Better to make use of the mill while you have it. So the next day, as we can see, I missed a few spots. That's because it got really dark when I was planting the wheat. But I didn't miss a whole lot, just a few spots. And because it was only the 24th, I could just plant the wheat on the spots I missed, and it will be all good to go before the season is out. Also, my tree farm is now ready to go. Just have to connect that up with tappers, and we have another huge tapper tree farm with oak resins. It's strawberry day again, so we're going to collect all the strawberries, sell those. I also made a processing chest to put all my pumpkins into, because I had so many pumpkins They were just taking up too much space in my regular chest that I used for the bits and bobs I got around the map. It was time to pay Mr. Key a visit. Another quest was at hand. Skull Cavern Invasion or Key's Prismatic Grange. Of course I choose Skull Cavern Invasion because of the extra resources you can pick up. I also got the Heavy Tapper recipe. Now to make heavy tappers I needed hardwood and radioactive bars, and that's the main reason why I was getting my hands on as much hardwood as possible. I managed to make 17 heavy tappers. They work the same as regular tappers, except they work twice as fast. So the more heavy tappers I get my hands on, the more oak resins I will get, the more cakes I can make before day 100 comes. So heavy tappers is a great investment. So we're doing the hardened version of Skull Cavern today, and as we can see here, I'm getting really lucky with radioactive ores, iridium ores, gold, iron, copper. It was just a great run. Made it down to floor 100, got my 40 key gems. As a reward, it gave me 10 regular bombs. I was actually very happy with that, because I use an awful lot of bombs in the Skull Caverns. Other than that, it was just a regular good run. So smelting bars, went to Clint, sold him iridium bars, got up to 93,000 gold, and I spent all my money on iron ores because I really needed iron, a lot more so than copper, to keep up to date with the kegs. It was then time to process all our lovely pumpkins into pumpkin juices. The next day, more oak resins were available, so I'm going to harvest all those. Then I'm going to take a ship over to Ginger Island, and I'm going to process all of the starfruits over here into starfruit wine. And as we can see now, my lovely house in Ginger Island has turned into a processing factory. I even took the bed out so I could get more space for the cakes. It doesn't really matter anymore if I pass out or not, because 1,000 gold is just pennies. The next day, it was time to harvest all of the wheat. This was going to be the last kind of, bit of farming we were going to do before the challenge ends, because in a few days, we're going to be going into winter, and I probably won't do any farming in winter at all. I'll be focusing more on kegs and production. So I'm going to put all the wheat into the middle there now. That's going to give me back wheat flour. And later on that day, I went to the Halloween event, and I purchased some stuff here from Pierre, including the rare crow. Picked up the golden pumpkin. I'm going to sell that. There's no point giving that to someone now at this stage. I've been so focused on money, I just totally forgot about befriending the villagers in Stardew Valley. So the next day, day number 28, this is the last day now of the fall challenge. We got our lovely wheat flour there. We also get another go at the strawberries here inside the greenhouse. And we go straight back into the mines, not to fight monsters or to get ores, but to smelt. So all of these iron ores will go towards kegs. I also have tons of copper ores there as well, and I have tons of copper bars ready for the next batch of kegs, no problem. So I sold Clint radioactive ores today because I wanted some money going into winter just in case I needed it for something. It was time for another quest. I totally forgot about the community quests this week, so I had one day to do community cleanup, and I really wanted to do that because I really wanted the fiber seeds. It's something I could grow in winter, and with fiber I could make tea saplings, for example, with ease. Tea saplings are still overpowered. You can still make quite a lot of money from them in the end game. The best place to get trash, in my opinion, is just up here outside the bat house. There's a little pool here. You can also get cool Vista paintings from it too, and it's not just one Vista painting you can get an unlimited amount of Vista paintings. So after I pulled up 20 trash items, it took me the whole day. That was community cleanup quest completed, 500 gold from Linus, but more importantly, he would give me the fiber seeds the next day. I accidentally sold the wheat flour instead of turning it into bread. That was a mistake that I didn't realise until I started editing this video. So if you got this far in the video, do not sell the wheat flour if you have a cooking station. Turn it into bread to make more money. I still made a lot of money from the wheat flour though. I made over 100,000 gold. And the next day, we're now in the 1st of winter, but we're going to stop it here, and I will have the winter guide out in a couple of days. So for winter, what I'm probably going to do is pickaxe up all of these sprinklers and sell them, because I don't need them anymore. This is a 1-year challenge. I've made 2,717,254 gold so far, but can I make 10 million gold by day 100? We'll find out in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.